Roger Williams University is hosting a crisis management seminar on May 3rd at their Providence campus. Crises, whether a natural disaster, cyber attack, or financial instability, can have severe repercussions if not handled properly. This is where crisis management plays a pivotal role. Join Roger Williams MBA students and expert speakers to learn how to prepare for the unexpected. The program is totally free and open to the public. You can register online at rwu.edu/events/crisis-management-symposium.
This is the Bartholomew Town Podcast.
Dr. Jack Warner is the president of Rhode Island College, and as we were just talking offline, things are feeling, at least from the outside, really good at Rick right now. We were talking about some of the billboards and some of the other advertising and marketing campaigns that have been happening, and you were talking about enrollment. First of all, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for your time, and I guess let's start right there with just some of the enrollment numbers that you're seeing on your end.
Well, thank you, Bill. Yes, we have a real sense of optimism about Rhode Island College these days. And most evident is the increase in applications. For example, we had to apply to RIC for free day back in the fall, and we were hoping for about 200 to 300 students to take advantage of that. 802 took advantage of it. So our spike in applications is about 30% higher than a year ago. Not too many colleges can make that claim in this era with declining high school senior populations and the value proposition of higher ed being questioned by a number of people. But we're very pleased. Our deposits are up about 20% for the fall for new students and another 15% for transfers. So we think that we'll begin to turn the tide on enrollments, and that's feeling good. So it gives us a sense of optimism. And yes, we are getting the word out about the college.
Yeah, no question about it. You mentioned that value proposition, and that's an interesting discussion that is, it seems to ebb and flow in terms of even just within a micro period, like a year, you'll see all these posts somewhere. Oh, look at the trades, look at small business just kind of launching straight out of high school or whatever the case is, and online learning is superior to attending a college or university. And then you'll see some employer or somebody else post, no, that 4-year degree is critical as a first step or even a returning step in continuing education. You have vast experience in higher ed in a lot of different roles here and in other parts of the country. I guess let's talk about that, just the overall value of a 4-year degree right now, or even a 2-year degree. What's your take on that?
Well, the research is very clear on it, Bill. Baccalaureate recipients enjoy a significant wage premium. They're over high school graduates, and they're likely to make over $1 million or close to $1 million a year. I mean, sorry, over the lifetime.
Yeah.
$1 million would be nice over their careers. About $1 million more than a high school graduate on average. It does vary by program of study and so on. But even those study areas like social sciences and humanities that have come under some attack in recent years show tremendous value, particularly later in students' careers, because these are smart people who take jobs in an economy that values human capital formation and smarts. And so when they demonstrate those smarts in their jobs, they tend to get promoted. And so mid-career, later career, particularly, they begin their salaries begin to pretty well explode. So and also, there's a public value to all this. It's why the public invests in an institution like Rhode Island College. Communities that have higher educated populations, the tax base is better, unemployment is lower. The numbers on public assistance are far lower. Rates of incarceration are lower. Public health is better. Voter participation and civic engagement are also higher. And those families educate their own children to higher levels. So not only is there an individual gain for being educated, there's a public value as well.
there's a couple of initiatives right now at RIC that are tied to supplemental budget proposals that Governor McKee has put forth to the General Assembly on your behalf. And one of them is creating a new cybersecurity institute that will be headed up by former Congressman and Rhode Island College alum Jim Langevin, no stranger to this program or really anybody who has a pulse in Rhode Island, that's for sure. Talk about that Cybersecurity Institute. That's a big deal. That's one of those specialized areas that in every sense of industry and in every sense of, even if it's not a primary career choice, it's something that everybody who works in any type of field right now just about has to be mindful of. Where's that coming from?
Well, you bet. First of all, there are over 700,000 unfilled jobs in the cybersecurity industry nationwide. Rhode Island has a significant number unfilled too. So we think that there's a tremendous market for graduates in cybersecurity. We have had a minor in that field for a number of years. We just got a major approved, so we will have a cybersecurity major. We also have been running cyber summer camps. And in the Cyber Institute, led by the congressman, and we're very happy that he chose us to affiliate with in this regard, is going to add to the quality of all of those efforts. The congressman sits on various boards that of people who really need cybersecurity specialists, may be willing to invest in that. So the Institute itself is going to add immensely to our ability to market the cybersecurity major. We want to develop a master's degree as well. I even know of an institution that has a Doctor of Science degree in cybersecurity. So if we can produce some real national experts in the field, it will position Rhode Island College very well in the future. And we really appreciate Governor McKee's willingness to invest in that institute because it mitigates the risk of an institution forming an institute for that purpose.
Absolutely. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended. It also is nice to have an anchor program on as a part of RIC. You know, you've had a reputation as a strong place for education degrees and many other things as well. But every college, university should and ought to and strives to have certain programs that they have that national reputation for specialization. And even within our region, within our state, this would be something that you would stand out as having a very or having a unique program in place, but also having a person in Congressman Langevin who's been in the thick of this world for, frankly, decades.
Absolutely. We're very pleased about all of that. And it also is consistent with the other things that we do. I think we're really known for strong arts and sciences. We're known for social work, and the MSW and BSW programs that we have, for nursing. And of course, we started out as an education institute, teacher prep institution. So we're known for all of those things. And we also have a business school that is producing new programs. Eventually, we'll have an MBA that we'll offer through our business school. We're just developing a sports management program as well, because there's a real demand at all levels of sport. There's a demand for people who understand how to administer these things. So
really interesting stuff. So a major element of another proposal, and it's a major element of kind of societal discussions right now as a whole, is the Hope Scholarship. And that would be Rhode Island College's version of the CCRI Rhode Island Promise Scholarship. Folks may remember then Governor Raimondo created the Rhode Island Promise, or I should say instituted it, which essentially provides free college tuition for in-state students. Talk about that. There's been discussions as recently as this past week. I was on Lively Experiment on PBS, and there was a discussion about the free lunches and breakfast for all students in elementary, middle, and high school in Rhode Island, which would eliminate the schedule that dictates at what threshold someone is eligible for a free lunch or free lunch and breakfast, and just give it to everybody. The discussion on PBS was, well, you institute that free lunch and breakfast, something's going to get chopped. It may be the Hope Scholarship. Why should Rhode Islanders want to see the Hope Scholarship Program included in this incoming budget?
Well, the first point I'd make is it's part of the public value of having a highly educated population. Rhode Island lags behind our New England neighbors in the percentage of our population with a post-secondary credential. So if we want to increase that, we have to make it easier, particularly for lower income students and students of color, to get those degrees, because that's where the sources of gain are. And what we find at Rhode Island College is that particularly our more needy students are working too much. That causes them sometimes to slow their pace of achievement. And if we can fill some of the gaps that force them to work, then they're going to succeed at higher rates. This is a scholarship that applies to juniors and seniors. And we do see some attrition between the second and third year that we think can be avoided by putting this scholarship into place.
So the mechanics would be first 2 years of post-secondary would be at CCRI, and then someone could transfer to Rick to complete the three. That's the mechanics of it. Okay.
Yeah. And for the record, Governor Raimondo did want to see the four-year institutions participate in this way. So we're hopeful that our time has come. We've had these bills before the General Assembly before, and they haven't gone through. But this time we're very optimistic that we have a good chance.
Well, we hear so often about, it's a little anecdotal, and some of it is tied to situations like the Providence Public School situation, where employers or large companies or even small businesses, just even anecdotally have those conversations, and they'll say, look, Rhode Island's a beautiful place. The proximity to Boston and New York is wonderful. The blue economy is emerging. There's a lot of opportunity in that super sector and so on and so forth, but we simply don't have the workforce. So there's an argument to be made, not only in traditional post-secondary education, but also in manufacturing training and all sorts of training, that we can do better as a state to prepare a workforce that can then in turn attract a more dynamic business sector. And in theory, Rick could be at the forefront of that by sort of picking up the back end of a four-year education in terms of free tuition. It's also not unheard of in other countries. In fact, some people are horrified when they find out that you actually have to pay for state schools here in the United States. So it's not like this is like from Pluto, this idea.
Well, not at all. The whole issue of how much it costs is also influencing the value proposition that because higher ed in some sectors costs too much, people lose confidence in our ability to get students through. But the more important piece here is if you look at the future of Rhode Island's workforce, Rhode Island's workforce is growing at a far slower rate than the rest of New England, and even much more slowly compared to the rest of the United States. So what that tells us is that Rhode Island is going to get by on the quality of its workforce because the quantity isn't there. And the gaps that employers talk about are really skills gaps, that they need certain specific kinds of skills like reading, writing, and math foundational skills are really important, but also higher order skills like critical thinking and collaborative problem solving and a whole host of those other kinds of skills that college degrees will produce is really important for our economy.
It's no question. Sort of last area here, as Rhode Island College looks to the next decade or so, and it's, again, anecdotal, but there's been, you're in some ways have been in the shadow of the University of Rhode Island. I mean, obviously you're talking about a university with 10,000 undergrads and, so on and so forth. It's not as if there is a scientific component to that just in terms of fact. But what do you see, where do you see Rick going in the next 10 years, either including the programs we just talked about, or just in general, in terms of establishing a foothold that is, the presence is as robust and as dynamic as the University of Rhode Island is?
Well, remember that we are Rhode Island's college. 85% of our students come from Rhode Island, and 70% of our graduates stay in the state after they graduate. And we are the most affordable of the four-year options in the entire state. We have many fine private institutions, but our niche is to offer high degrees of value for the dollar. So we will double down on our value proposition of a broadly educated population that we can contribute to, and our graduates stay here and provide that value to the state after they graduate. We will invest in centers of excellence like biotechnology and life sciences. There's a bill before the legislature that the speaker has put forward. I'll be testifying in favor of that bill tonight to create a life sciences hub. And everybody needs to play in that. URI will play there. Brown will play in that space, and we are very interested in playing in this space. We have a new biotech curriculum that was just approved. We, along with the cybersecurity. So we're confident that we have the horsepower to play in those higher end arenas and contribute to the economic development value of the state.
Yeah, it's really interesting in terms of the life sciences proposition. I had wondered when that first came out, what would that even be? It was sort of a vague proposal when the governor announced it at the State of the State. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Because that could arguably just include hospitals. It could include any research and development. It can include so much. But workforce training is also something that needs to be considered in that, and I'm sure it is. And it would be really wonderful if Rhode Island College were playing in the same space as the Browns, as the University of Rhode Island, in terms of putting together that hopefully soon to be had reputation for Rhode Island as a life science hub.
Well, the speaker's bill was designed in a very smart way. It proposes a public-private partnership. I spent a lot of my career in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts has a number of mechanisms like that. One is called the Mass Development Corporation, a public-private partnership that spurs a wide variety of development all over that state. And has transformed the economic development prospects for the state. So doing that in life sciences here in Rhode Island, just a really smart move. And by the way, workforce development is something we are actively engaged in too. We have our Central Falls hub. So Rhode Island College has a presence in a beautiful building in downtown Central Falls, and we do workforce training there. We receive grants from the Department of Labor and Training. There will be a one-stop DLT center that operates out of there. And we're looking to deepen our partnerships with the Central Falls schools using that location as well.
It's all really great stuff. Dr. Jack Warner, he's the president of Rhode Island College. Thanks so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Bill, for giving me the chance to tell our story.
At HealthSource RI for Employers, we provide access to health insurance to more than 1,100 local businesses and nonprofits, and 96% of them renew through us every year. Maybe it's our choice of 19 different health plans, our 10 years of customizing solutions, or our one local team of dedicated experts helping employers find quality health insurance. See how our numbers stack up for you. Learn more at healthsourceri.com/employers.